Beautiful. Welcome to the, oh my goodness, this might be one of the most amazing activations in our lifetime. The winter solstice 12/21/2020, cosmic completion, gathering and activation, an energetic transmission. The Council of Light is fully present, and on behalf of myself and the Council of Light, we encourage you to sincerely receive within your heart the gratitude and the thank you, the appreciation for showing up. Thank you for showing up. Deep breath in. And whatever's not allowing you to fully receive that, will you release and uncreate it? Deep breath in. So, as you can imagine, there is a lot of energetic downloads and energetic support here. There are a lot of light beings here to support the highest expression, the highest collaboration of light that's available at this time. And as we continue through this gateway into the new earth, the fifth dimensional consciousness experience, we're going to be able to reach higher and higher and higher because we're going higher and higher and higher. So when we speak to cosmic completion, this isn't about an end. We're just getting started. We're literally just getting started, but in a good way. So when we speak to completion, we're speaking to a cycle, completing a cycle. And we would encourage you to take a moment to ponder within yourselves how far you've come. And you can kind of use the mechanism of, okay, in the last 5 years, just check in. How much have you shifted? How much have you healed? How much have you expanded? How much have you remembered and embodied? And how much more empowerment have you welcomed? Maybe it's just this year, because this has been a very intense year. In the last 10 years, check in. 20 years. And even if things aren't looking right now out in the external the way you'd like them to, we're speaking to your inner world, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with all that is, your relationship with Source. Have you transitioned into a whole new orientation with various aspects of the way you function, the way you think, the way you go about your day, the awarenesses, the ways of perceiving, because that's the miracle. Because people can go their whole lifetime, they can go 10 lifetimes without ever shifting the way they perceive, without ever shifting their consciousness in a real kind of tangible way, because they may be too afraid to, or they may be too attached to the survival consciousness that perpetuates the struggle and the separation-based experience. And so we would invite you to be willing and to move into the willingness to give yourself credit, to acknowledge how far you've actually come. And we would even go even further to invite an energetic aspect of you, the part of you that knows, to preview all your lifetimes. It's kind of like, okay, let's just do a check-in of all our lifetimes. How far have we come in our evolution, in our level of consciousness? And here's an indicator for you. You're ready for this. That's how far you've come. So whether you can perceive the evidence or not with your mind, we will just tell you that because you're here on this threshold with this group, with this evolved group of beings, of light beings that are conscious and evolving consciously, you've come really far, brothers and sisters. So deep breath in as you just take a moment to give yourself that recognition, that gratitude as a soul. We're going to invite your body, Davis, to do the same. So anywhere you are in a perception or an energy, because it could just be an energy that then brings thoughts into the mind of I should be further along, or things should look differently, or this should be da da da. Are you willing to move out of that orientation and interpretation? Even if it's just for a moment. Are you willing to release the judgments and conclusions that you haven't done enough, that you're not far enough along, that you haven't accomplished what you came here to accomplish, whatever the conclusions are? Because what we tend to do is we base these conclusions only on what we can see, hear, taste, and touch. And you are a multidimensional being. Your body, Deva, is a multidimensional being. You have shifted astronomically in different dimensions because of everything you've gone through. So let all of that information from these other dimensions begin to filter in, not maybe in an intellectual way, but in an energetic way where we can acknowledge, oh, look at all that I'm actually doing. Look at all that I've actually moved through and shifted and evolved and transformed. And if we feel like, especially this year, we may have felt like we weren't, and we're going to speak in terms of what the expectations are based on old paradigm. The old paradigm is that we have to do certain things in order to be of service in the world. And that can be a way that being of service expresses itself. But ultimately, we would invite you to take into account all that you're doing to be of service. Because you've incarnated on the planet at this time, it gives you access to all kinds of dimensions that you can shift things in these other dimensions that a part of you is doing. You have mastery of it. And because you have an anchor point, you're actually able to do the work. And yeah, let that expand out. Because when you begin to acknowledge, oh, look at all that I'm doing, look at how much I'm actually of service, you can begin to acknowledge your value. You can begin to acknowledge where you actually are in your evolution on the mountain, on the spiral. And you can access the resources that are available to you from that place. When we think we're supposed to be indifferent than we are, we're either trying to go backward or forward in our spiral up the mountain. We're no longer congruent and in alignment with the resources that are available to support us at that evolutionary step. So we'd like to bring in some energetic downloads to really support you in honing in energetically. You can invite your higher self to do this. We're going to invite the body Davis to do the same, the level of their higher selves. Teams too, begin to hone in. Where am I? Like in an accurate way, from an accurate perception. So be willing to let go of your conclusions from this level. Higher self, where are we on the mountain? Can you discern that? How far have we actually come? Where are we? Where's our now moment, feet planted on the step we're on? Where is that energetically? And just give a moment for your higher self to discern that for you. Okay, so what I'm being shown is a lot of stuff that you're carrying that isn't yours. And because you're attempting to shift it for someone else, it has you in a distorted orientation with where you actually are in your evolution, because you have a lesson that someone else's in your energetic fields that you're attempting to shift, or your body, David, does. And that's oriented further down on the mountain. So that distorts our energetic beacon frequency, and the resources that would support us where we actually are can't find us energetically. We don't have access to them. So from the perspective that we can't shift someone else's bundle, and even if we could, it wouldn't help them. That's their kind of exercise for their muscles to evolve themselves. And they can only evolve themselves. We can't evolve them for them. That would be very disempowering and not helpful. It's just like we can't make a flower bloom. We can't bloom a flower for a flower. The flower naturally will bloom itself. So can we bring in the energetic downloads to support you in recognizing that that idea of being able to process someone else's stuff is an old paradigm, third dimensional separation consciousness, codependent pattern. It doesn't really work. If we were really separate from source and we needed to be source for another, then it might work. But that's not actually the case. So can we show you how to allow every single soul, every single being to be empowered in their connection to source? They have an infinite source. Let them source at source. And will you return all responsibility for being the source for them back to them? Even if you're more evolved than they are, it's still not helpful to try to take their bundles and process them, because then they don't have them to process for themselves, and they'll just have to go get more, roll around in more of the same experience, same old, until they gather up enough stuff again to then use as fuel for their evolution. It's really a divine design. Just as you can reflect on your own journey and the things you've moved through, the things you've evolved for yourself. And when you had a bundle to work on, you worked it and you shifted and you grew and you evolved because of it. So will you let them do the same for themselves? That's their fuel. There we go. And it's really Body Davis taking a minute to really get this teaching. So inviting you, along with all the responsibility, returning, inviting your higher self, Body Davis, higher self, and teams to return all responsibility for these bundles and the bundles themselves, the empathic sensations, the issues, the karma, back to their right and perfect place, along with all relevant and appropriate energetic information. Will you fire yourself from being the source of healing or empowerment or love or abundance or joy or freedom or anything for another? Will you let them be the source of it for themselves? At source, the light that flows within them is their source. The light that flows within you is your source. It's a beautiful design. Everybody has more than enough. And if we rewire our consciousness into that divine blueprint configuration, we're going to show you energetically this while we're speaking. Then we get to experience oneness, fifth dimensional consciousness, new earth, heaven on earth, real time while we're here. How amazing is that? We get to be the bridge for it, because our energetic fields and how we're wired in is what will reflect in our experience. So if this is showing up as distorted or separation based or codependent or I don't have or struggle, it's an indicator that there's something within our energetic fields vibrating at that frequency and agreeing to those frequencies. And when we're carrying bundles of another, if we're trying to process a struggle-based bundle for somebody, that's going to vibrate at struggle. And then it's going to reflect in our experience. And I get it, because I used to do this. And I couldn't figure out why. Why aren't my positive intentions working for myself? I feel in complete alignment with what I'm choosing. Why isn't it showing up? And it's because I had a ton of other people's issues running in my energetic fields because I thought it was virtuous to try to shift it for them. And again, this was all happening on an unconscious level. I wasn't consciously choosing to do it. These were old patterns that were running. So if you're someone who's been on the spiritual path for a while and you really are starting to feel a little bit frustrated. And this is kind of where they're showing me this idea pops in of, I'm not far enough. I must not be doing this right. Chances are this is the peace that you've been waiting for. This is the awareness that you've been waiting for. Oh, I've shifted my own stuff. Now it's time to return all this stuff I'm trying to process that was never mine to process. So when we return these bundles back to them, it's done with love, because we're saying, in essence, I know you as a soul are strong enough to shift this for yourself, or you wouldn't have generated it to shift yet. If you weren't ready for it, you wouldn't have been on that step. You would have been on another step. So it's about trusting the evolutionary process, trusting the divine design, and letting it do its work, letting it do its job, letting their higher self be in charge of their journey. So can we show you how to do that, where you no longer define being of service as trying to do things for others that they're actually meant to do for themselves energetically? And we're bringing this in for the unconscious mind, just to help lift these codependent patterns up and out. And the theme for this kind of piece here is literally evolving our consciousness to a place where we can pass through this gateway really wired for 5D, really wired to welcome the new earth, because that's where the new earth lives. It lives in oneness, the oneness-based templates, the divine blueprint of sovereignty. So the other piece, once we've returned all the bundles, once we've returned the responsibility and recognize that they are able to shift it for themselves, of course they are, they're one with an infinite source. And this is just awareness, so no guilt, no judgment of self for doing it. These were old patterns that we thought were helpful at the time, and we're now on the step of learning, oh, that was never helpful. Now we're going to release all of our attachment off of them. So inviting you at the level of your higher self, body, Davis, higher self, and teams to work with the energetic fields and the guides to energetically locate any of your attachment energy where you wanted them to shift, where you wanted them to be happier, or you wanted them to be more free or evolved or out of suffering. Because that wanting energy is equivalent to trying to choose for them. And it's a control energy that we literally take. This is how these cords are created. We literally take part of our energetic field, matrix, grid of control energy, and we place it on them. Does that sound helpful? No. No, it doesn't. So this is also how we start to feel their stuff on a regular basis. We become highly empathically sensitive. So this is how we reduce empathic sensitivity. So inviting you at the level of your higher self, body, Davis, higher self. So just make the request, retrieve all my energetic fabric of attachment off of everyone and everything I ever wanted for them, because that's their higher self's job. That's not my job. Returning all responsibility for them wanting for themselves. We're also going to invite the retrieving of gifts, wisdom, mastery that you placed on another. So in other words, if you thought someone needed to support themselves more or to be supported more, you maybe took some of your energetic fabric of support and gave it away. So when you do that, you no longer have it in your energetic fields. And because you no longer have it in your energetic fields, you've taken it and you've put it out here. It can't reflect in your experience. So you now have the experience of less support for yourself. So it's a sacrifice-based, lack-based system. Can you feel that? Where it disempowers them, it disempowers you. It's really not helpful. The other piece is your energetic fabric of support will not work for them. It's not calibrated for them. So it actually weighs them down. So again, another awareness. Oh, not helpful. So retrieve all your resources back to you, clean, clear, full of light, all your power back to you, all your love and light back to you. We know this sounds counterintuitive to the separation paradigm teachings, but that's because we're moving into oneness. And in oneness, everyone sources within their beam of light an infinite supply of all things, and everyone has access. So nobody's in lack. That's what we're wiring into. And by you doing it for yourself, you show every other being how to do it for themselves. And that is the new paradigm of service. It's what the Ascended Masters do. Deep breath in. So we're going to invite the energetic downloads that are unique to each of you to support you in energetically releasing what no longer serves you. At the end of this cycle, what are you ready to release? What are you ready to surrender, to let go of, to lay down, to leave at the door? And whatever doesn't allow that for you, will you release and uncreate it? Good. Deep breath in. We're going to invite, once that's complete, as we watch these things lift, complete themselves, evolve, shift. Again, this is just through your intention, then your higher self actually does the retiring of whatever it is. And for some of you, you may find it helpful to imagine a bonfire that you're throwing in what no longer serves you, even if you don't know what it is. And that's always really good. Even if it's okay, this and this, and then whatever isn't serving me that I'm not even consciously aware of. Can you trust your higher self that much? Because just a reminder for those of you who may be new to our work, if we don't do the shifting for you, we show you how to do it for yourself. Then you actually do it. You, at the level of your higher self, actually shift you, which exercises your energetic muscles and makes you stronger and helps you hold that new energetic stance in a more empowered way. Good. Deep breath in. Inviting a reset now into the now moment, updating all grids, reference points, perceptions. Good. And we're going to do a check-in again with, okay, where am I in relationship to, energetically, to where I actually am on the mountain? Am I congruent with that? Higher self, will you check? Body Davis, higher self. Okay, so there's a few little pieces here that have to do with relationships with others still. And it doesn't surprise me because we usually have layers of that we've done, over lifetimes. But they want me to kind of explain a little bit why we're moving into this kind of fine tuning of sovereignty right now and why that's so helpful during this gateway. And many of you have heard the saying, the idea of passing through the eye of the needle. What we're doing is literally that. And in order to pass through that portal, if you will, into oneness, into fifth dimensional new earth, the more we can be in our beam without attachment or lines of energy running in separation consciousness outside of ourselves, like sourcing something out here or trying to be the source for someone out here, functioning again from separation, the idea that we're separate from source or that they're separate from source. When we undo that wiring and those lines of energy, those horizontal lines of energy, and we move our energy vertically, and we're showing you energetically what this is. So feel your way through this for a moment rather than think your way through this. Good. Then we can go higher, more easily, more effortlessly, and we can pass through the eye of the needle because there's nothing in the way. We're there. We're in truth. We're in oneness. We're in coherence with and congruence with where we actually are in the mountain, so that we can be the beacon of light for that step in evolution for whoever needs to see where they're going. Oh, look at that example. That's where I'm going. Let me try that energetic stance that they're doing. And this is all unconscious communication. We're always sending and receiving information energetically with each other. So as you wire your consciousness for the vertical oneness, one with an infinite source, I am that I am, you become an example, a way shower for others to do the same. So first and foremost, it's for you, so that you get to begin welcoming the experience of the oneness, the having, the abundance, the joy, the freedom, the flow, everything that comes with being one with an infinite source. Because you've plugged into it, you've plugged into that energetic agreement, and you've let go of all the other agreements that contradict it. Are you willing to do that? Deep breath in. Good. Good. Keep going. Deep breath in. So the relationship with others here, the piece that's stepping forward, is where we still are tied to an agreement, a story, an idea that it's somehow virtuous to feel sorry for another, or that it's helpful, or that it's loving. And we'd like for you, for just a moment, to feel into what it feels like to feel sorry for another. You can feel the energy from awareness without identifying with it. So you're not creating from that place. But when you feel sorry for someone, it's kind of, can you feel a lower identification, a lower vibration, a disempowering agreement? Because energetically, when we feel sorry for another, it's equivalent to saying and affirming they don't have. They're not blah, blah, blah. Poor so-and-so, which totally is like affirming for them that they're weak, that they're less than, that they don't have infinite resources, that they are separate from source. It all is at the same frequency. Even if we're not intending to do that, energetically, that's what happens. And that feeling sorry for conditioning is a piece in separation consciousness that many of us who are loving, beautiful beings, trying to be loving and supportive, it trips us up because we think it's loving. We've been taught it's loving. We've been conditioned to believe it's loving. And if we can step outside of the stories for a moment and feel into what the energy of it is, just from awareness, no concepts, but when I feel sorry for someone, what does it feel like? You can feel the energy drop, the coherence drop. Doesn't feel like love. So it's actually this frequency of disempowerment and separation. Ooh, I don't want to choose that. So that's the dialogue you can have. I'm just inviting you into that. This is how I navigate. Feel into it. Feel my way through it. It's like, ooh, that feels discordant. I'm not going to choose that. Because if we agree to a discordant frequency, it's literally active then in our vibration. And if it's active in our vibration, it's going to reflect as a distortion somewhere in our life. Takes us out of alignment with our infinite source. So deep breath in. So without having to understand it fully, are you willing to retire and invite your higher self to reinterpret your relationship with this kind of mechanism of feeling sorry for another as a way to love them, as a way to support them, as a way to be virtuous, as a way to be a good person? And it's really just you in your conscious choice in this now moment, being willing, if you're willing. I'm willing to retire that. Yeah, I can feel how it's discordant. I don't have to know more than that. But from my conscious choice in this moment, it doesn't feel like love. And I choose real love. I choose oneness-based love. I choose pure, perfect love as a way of being. So you bring that in now, invite your higher self, Body Davis higher self, to begin to rewire the energetic fields into the pure unconditional love that is innate to you, that is part of what you are, that naturally expresses as you when you agree to it as a vibration first, not as a story, not as a concept. Higher self, will you remind me as a vibration what pure unconditional love is and what I am as that? Because that's what I choose for myself and others, just to be. It's not really it's not codependent. So it's just me to be it, me to remind myself that I am it. And then it gets to reflect in my world and express in my world as a side effect. But this pure unconditional love is the foundation of my divine essence. And a part of me knows that. That's what I deeply crave to be and experience myself as. If that's true for you, invite your higher self, Body Davis higher self, and teams to retrieve all reference points for this pure unconditional love off of everyone and everything outside of you back to your beam of light that emanates from source. That's where it lives. All that pure unconditional love lives within your beam of light that is you, that emanates from source. There is no separation. And invite your higher self to activate more of it within your being. We're going to invite the Body Davis to do the same, the teams to do the same, the guides to do the same, amplifying this pure unconditional love. And will you let this love in to any perceived voids within your energetic fields where we were making someone else the source of something for us? Will you fire them from being the source, and will you let in your own divine essence as a frequency, as a song, to literally fill you up, overflow you with your own divine essence? So we're going to invite that to activate now. Your own divine essence carries within it the frequencies, the resources, the rememberings, the energetic codes for awakening for you that can be triggered by outer light codes, but ultimately the codes are all within you. There we go. Bring, as you're willing, invite your higher self to bring all your attachment off anything in the outer world, people, places, things that we were attempting to manifest, anything in the outer world, money, the perfect partner, anything that you've been attached to in the physical realm experience. That's your power, that's your light. Bring it back to you. Retrieve all your attachment off of everyone and everything in the outer world. That's you trying to manipulate the reflection instead of you sourcing your resources at source. Will you, for this moment, release all your attachment off of everything in the outer world? Doesn't mean you're not going to get to have it. That's what the mind thinks. That's what separation consciousness teaches us. It's never true. The having of it happens within your light when you have access to all your power, all your energy, all your resources. They will reflect as the things, as the abundance, as the freedom, as the joy. Bring it all back to you. Source it within you, vertically aligned in your beam. And now there's a syncing up now with you, your divine spark level, the galactic center. So in a way that's helpful, we invite you to connect to your higher self and just to invite this vertical alignment. continuing to retrieve all your resources, your attachment, your energy, your power back to you. Clean it, recalibrate it, reweave it in your own energetic fields. Body Davis 2, Teams 2. I am one with an infinite source, and everything I deeply desire lives within my light, not in the outer world. That's the reflection. Will you fire the outer world from being responsible for you having? Bring all that responsibility back to you at the level of your higher self. Hold it appropriately so that you can access all your resources within your light. Orient it appropriately with your current level of consciousness on the mountain, and that's actually syncing up now as well. Reminding you, your body, your teams, how to access your resources appropriately from your current level of consciousness, from this orientation in oneness, in sovereignty, an infinite supply, not attached to it showing up in the outer, only attached to, I already have it within my light. I have an infinite supply already. Will you release all the stories of not having, all the conditioning of not having, all the assumptions, expectations, declarations, identifications of not having? Anywhere you basically kind of said, I don't get to have joy. I guess I just don't get to have a divine mate. I guess I just don't get to have freedom. I guess I just don't get to have things working out for me. Are you willing to release and uncreate those agreements now and recognize that the distortions that were simply mucking up your vibration at the time were reflecting in your experience, but it never meant you didn't get to have? Deep breath in, inviting your higher self, Body Davis higher self, as you're willing to agree to go to work to clean your energetic fields, to reharmonize your energetic fields to your own unique essence, your own pure vibration. As a being of light, inviting your body, David, to do the same for itself as a nature spirit emanating from the heart of Gaia, collaborating in love, in empowerment, in joy, in freedom, in expansion, and celebrating the remembering of having as a way of being. The golden age of Gaia is all about us reconfiguring our vibration, our energetic fields into sovereignty, into oneness, into the oneness with an infinite source where we have infinite resources overflowing because we're unattached to the outer. And we're aligning to the highest possibility in every moment through our conscious intention of staying in our vertical alignment and inviting the next level. It's our motivation for expansion is to have more of what we are. I'm only attached to me having more of what I am within me. The external can do whatever it wants, because guess what? The external will reflect what you're holding energetically. When you're not attached to it, it gets to reflect in a coherent way. But as soon as we get attached to the external, we take part of our energy out of our beam and we put it out here, which then distorts the reflection. Deep breath in. Okay. So we're going to support the body, Deva, here in moving through releasing its kind of what's no longer serving it with regard to any unprocessed emotions it was holding that doesn't belong to it. So we're going to invite the body, Deva, at the level of its higher self to work with the energetic fields and the guides to energetically locate emotional content the body's been trying to process. It's like shoved down in its pockets. It's like, I don't know what to do with this because it's not moving. I can't process it. Body Deva, that's not coded for you. That's why you can't process it. It's not because you're not enough. It's It's just the divine design. Nobody can process that but the person who it belongs to, the soul that it belongs to, the body deva that it belongs to. Yeah. Body deva was like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. And now we're learning. Isn't it exciting that we're learning? It's not helpful and it doesn't work, and we can start to choose differently. So deep breath in as we invite the body deva and the teams that work with the body deva at the level of their higher selves to work with the energetic fields and the guides to lift up and out of the energetic fields the shame, the guilt, the disempowerment, the frustration, the anger, all the discordant energies and emotions that you were trying to process that weren't yours. They were maybe in the collective, ancestral. Return it back to their right and perfect place, along with all relevant and appropriate energetic information and the responsibility for it. Good. Deep breath in. And you, as a soul, can hold space for the body to do this. Just a loving space, just like you would for another. We were in a round table in-person session, and there were a bunch of us sitting around the room, and somebody was receiving. You can hold space for that. We're not going to do it for them. We're just going to hold that loving space. Good. And we're going to invite you, your body deva, and your teams to work with the energetic fields and the guides to basically review all the lessons you are trying to learn through all those separation-based ways of being and patterns that we are retiring, that we are releasing, that we are evolving beyond. Show you all the lessons you're meant to learn, and inviting you, your body, your team to activate the mastery of those lessons now. And are you willing to forgive and release any stories of lack, limitation, separation? Are you willing to forgive and release everyone involved, including yourself? Deep breath in. I'm just going to invite the returning of any soul fragments back to the right and perfect place. Good. Releasing any trauma. Good. Good. Deep breath in. So now we're going to invite everything to get current with the now moment, inviting you to now orient appropriately with where you are on the mountain now, body deva for itself. So we may have just gone up about 10 more octaves. Deep breath in. Okay, good. So as we end a cycle, the beauty of that is we also have the opportunity to welcome the new, to welcome the next level. So when we speak of welcoming, we would encourage you to think in terms of the light that flows within you. What are you wishing to welcome as more of within your light? And so if we're craving greater freedom, greater empowerment, greater abundance, greater joy, we can actually go within our light, because we don't want to try to find it out here. That's not where it lives. We can go within our beam, and we can invite our higher self to energetically locate our unique vibration of freedom or empowerment or joy or abundance, or whatever that energetic cocktail is. Maybe we don't have words for it. Maybe it's simply our own unique divine essence, our own purpose, our own passion. And you can invite your higher self to activate more of it within you, ensuring that you're holding the responsibility for accessing it at the level of your higher self. You haven't given that responsibility away. Retrieve all responsibility for accessing it within your light. the level of your higher self. Fire everyone and everything outside of you from being the source of it. Higher self, will you fill me up with more of the freedom that I am as a frequency? Deep breath in. And give yourself a moment or 2 or 10 to really just get clear. What is it that you're welcoming? And are you willing to access it within your light, within your divine blueprint, within your infinite supply that flows within you? We're going to invite the body devas and the teams to do this as well for themselves. Deep breath in. Good. Okay, so there's a little, when this starts to happen, then I start to see anything that's not allowing us to fully move into the welcoming of it. So what I'm being shown is stories or agreements that we can't have these things because this isn't different yet. Like, in other words, oftentimes in our separation-based conditioning, we decide that we don't get to have our freedom until we have more money, or we don't get to have our joy until this thing gets resolved out here. And maybe it's a circumstance or a job or a relationship, or we don't get to have our peace until this whole crazy world health issue thing gets resolved. Or maybe it's a personal health issue. I don't get to be happy or free or abundant until my health improves, or until my body weight is a specific number. So this is an invitation for you to notice and just be aware of places and spaces in your consciousness where you've agreed that something outside of you can actually withhold your peace, your freedom, or it's responsible for you having it or not having it. This might not make sense to the conscious mind because our intellect may be in a conclusion that the reason we're not at peace is because this situation is happening. And it's actually the opposite. The metaphysics of it are reversed. The not peace was already here, and it's reflecting as this circumstance. So if we know that, it's not the circumstance's responsibility to fix anything for us. It's just showing us the lack of peace within our light that we haven't activated yet. Maybe we wanted so many beings to be at peace that we took our energetic fabric of peace and we put it on them, and now it's not in our energetic fields to reflect in our experience. Or maybe we just haven't activated and cultivated the inner peace energetic fabric. So we can begin to do that. So we're going to invite you at the level of your higher selves, body devas, higher selves, and teams, to energetically discern what qualities within me have I given this circumstance, this person, this situation, this outer experience responsibility for. Retrieve all that responsibility back to you for you accessing your freedom, your peace, your joy, your abundance, your love, whatever it is, your empowerment, your joy. Hold that responsibility at the level of your higher self, body devas too. Invite your higher selves to activate more of it within you. More of those qualities, more, and then retrieve all your energetic fabric of those vibrations that you maybe gave away, maybe in other lifetimes. Maybe you were taught in a lifetime that it wasn't virtuous to be joyful, that God wouldn't like it. So you gave all your joy away so you wouldn't access it. So God would let you into heaven. Will you let go of all that conditioning now? Activate all the mastery of those lessons. Fire anyone as the source for you of wisdom. Bring all your responsibility for you accessing your inner wisdom back to you. Good. Bring all your energetic fabric, gifts, wisdom, mastery, the joy, the freedom, the abundance, the love, the peace, whatever it is. Clean it, recalibrate it, reweave it in your own energetic fields. That's your resources, your energy that you spent lifetimes cultivating. And we can try to give it away, but that's a codependent pattern that doesn't really work because our energetic fabric of those gifts does not work for another. It only works for you. It's literally like you knitting this beautiful blanket and spending lifetimes knitting it and then trying to give it to another, and it won't keep them warm. It doesn't work for them. It feels uncomfortable for them to try to use it. It's not in resonance for them. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard for them. It only works for you. Bring all that energetic fabric back to you. And so for many light workers that experience lack, it's because you've given all your stuff away and you thought it was helpful. You thought it was virtuous. You thought it was being of service. And this is the step. This is the day where you get to remember, oh, it's discordant. It's not helpful. Well, let's get it back then. Celebrate that. Deep breath in. Good. So as we can celebrate the awareness instead of going into judgment or some other discordant way of seeing it, we can recognize, oh, I've actually come so far in my evolution that I'm ready for this step, and I'm ready to remember that that isn't helpful. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, how amazing is it that I can actually remember that today, and I can actually start to use my own energetic fabric for myself to cultivate more of what I love and more of what honors me, so that I begin to demonstrate thriving for all life and how we're actually meant to live as one with an infinite source. Deep breath in. And you're not depriving anyone of anything by getting it back. You were depriving yourself of it when you gave it away. So you're undoing that now. And it's a completion. They're saying this is part of this. What we're completing is the conditioning and deprivation as somehow virtuous. Are you willing to retire that? Deep breath in. And everywhere you thought it was virtuous to deplete your resources and to give it to another, can we show you what's really going on with that? And it's basically just agreeing to separation consciousness and lack. That's all it is. It's not virtuous. And this came up in a session we did the other day. I believe it was the Expanding New Ways of Being group session, being shown Mother Teresa. And there's a lot of different layers we could peel around that. But what we're going to focus on here is when we bring forward that idea of that icon, what does it bring up for you in your energetic fields? Your awareness, your consciousness. We're going to look at, so you're looking at just simply, we're inviting you to step into the willingness to bring it all up. And we're going to look at the energy of it. It's like emptying our pockets. Mother Teresa, there's all this consciousness around it, this conditioning around what that even means. And what if parts of it are distorted, if not all of it? So are you willing to release all the meaning you've given it, and everywhere you've agreed to any discordant, separation-based, sacrifice-based ways of being that actually is equivalent to separation from source? Deep breath in. Okay. Whatever doesn't allow that for you, will you release and uncreate it? Deep breath in. So we're going to bring forward a piece now that we're going to call a declaration. We're going to invite you into this declaration if it resonates for you. And it's basically retiring the lack. the sacrifice, the struggle. So deep breath in. On this day, I, in my conscious awareness and choice, now choose to retire all oaths, vows, commitments, agreements, declarations, and return to sender what is in mine that plug me into any type of separation-based systems, mechanisms, consciousness that I've actually evolved beyond. I invite my higher self to activate all the lessons, all the spiritual lessons that I was meant to learn, the mastery of those lessons now. And I celebrate all of the learning that took place there. And I gratefully step out of that level of consciousness into the oneness-based systems and templates now. Deep breath in. Good. Keep breathing. I choose to remember who I am as one with an infinite source. Is already free, already loved, already empowered, already abundant, already joyful, already whole, already worthy. Deep breath in. We're just watching your higher self work with your energetic fields, your body Deva's energetic fields, to clean house your body Deva for itself. Yeah. Deep breath in. To rewire your consciousness to bring in your own unique grids that you've already crafted in a higher dimension that function from the oneness with source, the already whole and one with source, the already free, the already abundant, the already joyful, the already empowered, the already fill in the blank. I already have, I already am. It is here, it is within my light. It was never outside of me, cannot be sourced outside of me. No one else is responsible for accessing it for me. Deep breath in. Reminding you that at your divine spark level, you are one with God's source and that you emanate from that place. You're never separate. So anywhere you've given responsibility to a God outside of you, will you release and uncreate that? Your higher self is part of you, not separate. It's like the heart and the lungs coexist in a very beautiful collaboration. Something like that. Deep breath in. It helps us connect to the concept anyway, in a multidimensional way. Good. So just inviting the next level for each of you to begin to birth in an honoring way where you welcome even greater levels of your own light, your own empowerment, your own freedom, your own expansion, your own wisdom, your own remembering, your own healing, connecting to your own healing source, your own spiritual power, and falling in love with the light that flows within you, recognizing that that is your power. It's already here. And it's never been in an accomplishment or a doing or an experience. It already exists. It already is. We're going to show you what we mean by that. And the rewiring of consciousness is no small feat. So that's why we celebrate you to such a degree that you have come so far. To be able to be in this conversation is evidence in and of itself that you've come very far, that you're highly evolved as a being of light. We encourage you to celebrate that, to really milk it on this day, to celebrate that you are crossing this threshold, that you are here, that you've done it, that you've made it this far, and the best is yet to come. That is an absolute. Deep breath in. And again, it doesn't mean that we're done. It just means we are graduating from this particular phase of our journey. Hooray, we can take a moment to celebrate that. And this particular moment is such an incredible moment to celebrate. When I connect to, I can't put into words, but I'm getting emotional. When I connect to all that we did to prepare for this, to cross this threshold, to be successful in this lifetime with the end of this cycle, the beginning of the new, entering into the golden age of Gaia in the most harmonious way possible. It is nothing short of miraculous. And so we're going to bring in this energy to support you in connecting to this immense undertaking that you as a soul, in your own unique way, played your role in the manifestation, in the completion, in the success of this rebirth for yourselves and for humanity. And even if most of humanity is not yet conscious that that's what's happening, it's okay. They don't have to be. Part of them has agreed to it or they wouldn't be here. Their higher self is in charge. They're moving through whatever their step is to move through to get to their next level. And it's all part of the divine design and it's all perfect. And we're going to support you in connecting to the certainty that freedom and liberation is here. We're not going backwards. We're not going to go backwards into bondage or into some control-based manipulation system. Those systems are also in the phase of completion, and they cannot exist and coexist with us in the new earth. So regardless of what this looks like, we invite you to trust and know that the success and the completion is already done. And this is just going to phase out and transform in right timing, in divine perfect ways that we don't have to intellectually understand, but we can trust and know in our light that because we're here, because we're crossing this threshold, we did it. And success is imminent. Deep breath in. So we encourage you to celebrate that, even if it doesn't appear out here yet. I love the quote they're bringing forward, the quote by, I think it's Tagore is how you say his name. But it talks about faith. And he defines faith as the bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark. We're going to bring that in as an energetic download. Feel the light and sing, dear ones. We are victorious. It is so, and it can be no other way. There is so much love and gratitude for each of you, for your role, and for your willingness to move through everything you've gone through to get here, and to support this evolutionary leap, this unprecedented quantum leap that is rippling into all dimensions and benefiting all life. Take time to acknowledge the value of that, the value of you, the value of your journey. As you receive this deep honoring, this literally bringing me to tears, this deep honoring of you that is here. It's the acknowledgement, the reflection of your value, of your presence having value, regardless of what your experience has been. You have no idea all that you've done on a conscious level. So we just encourage you to receive the truth of it beyond the intellect and to begin to allow the value of your expression to be embodied by you, acknowledged by you, so that it can reflect in even greater ways for you moving forward. Oh my goodness, so much love for you is coming through right now. There's just so much appreciation and love for you. So know that that is so, and you're encouraged to love yourself that much as well, to appreciate yourself that much as well. And if you found this session today helpful, we always welcome your feedback, and we will be uploading it to our YouTube channel later on so you can re-listen. And that's the Omaji and Daria YouTube channel. And we're also going to be offering a series that's going to take all of the work we just did, like, and expand exponentially, where we're literally going to dive in and rewire consciousness for you. And really, it's Body Deva front and center, supporting the Body Deva in rewiring out of separation consciousness. And it's called the Body Deva Upgrade to 5D. We have an introductory video on our YouTube channel for that, so you can kind of feel into it for you. There's an early bird price for another 2 weeks, and we're going to start our first 90-minute session on January 16th, and it's a series of 4 sessions. So it'll be a tool that you'll be able to listen to again and again to really give the Body Deva everything it needs to evolve itself in a supportive, loving way, in an empowered way. Because as your Body Deva steps into greater empowerment and really in the driver's seat for itself and its own evolution, the same thing happens for the Body Deva. It begins to access all of its resources. It begins to move into greater empowerment. It begins to kick everything into high gear with regard to supporting and sustaining itself in the physical realm. So it's a win-win. So if you want to join us for that, we encourage you to follow your knowing. And it was such an honor to be here with you in this auspicious energy, in this auspicious threshold, this gateway into more love and expansion and joy than we ever thought possible. Know that it is here, and as you know it, as you merge with it within you, release your attachment to the outer, it can begin to reflect more and more. Okay, so the last thing the Council of Light's bringing forward is just to invite you to cocoon yourselves to the degree that's appropriate. So you may just give an invitation to your higher self to cocoon you in your energetic fields, to help seal in all the work so that it can integrate with grace and ease. And some of it's still being shared in a time release way. We often work with a group far beyond the session. So as you're willing, you can give permission for that. And we look forward to connecting with all of you again in the new year. And yes, you are all very welcome. It was my honor to be of service in this way and to be here collaborating with each of you as your higher selves bring forward the pieces that are perfect for the evolution and the expansion. So much love to you and many blessings. We'll see you all soon.